guys, Wendell Sailor here for PNGBet.com. Well, I've got to tell you, it's round 16. We're starting to get to the nitty gritty of the NRL. The real teams are really stand up here, and I'm going to be honest, after State of Origin, I'm very, very disappointed. I'm disappointed in my Queensland team. We're not good enough. New South Wales can do what they want. There was a saying, once upon a time, Wayne Bennett said, winners have parties, losers have meetings. Anyway, let's get to Thursday night, round 16, the first clash, the Roosters versus Storm. The Roosters, they've had retirements, Boyd Cordner, Jake Friend, they've had injuries, Brett Morris, one of the greatest wingers of all time, if not the greatest winger, but they keep on keeping on through their young roster, but also the players that come in know their roles and do a job. Lachlan Lamb, obviously the young PNG boy, he's doing a good job there in at 5'8". I got to play with his dad back in the day, Adrian Lamb, who was a pretty good competitor himself. But James Tedesco at fullback, you know, he'll back up because that's what you do around Origin. Because it's been a Sunday night game, you back up. Teddy was magnificent the other night, and he's got to be magnificent again because you're playing against the Storm. The Storm have got players like Munster, Nico Hines, doing a really good job at fullback there because there's been no Pappenhausen. No Pappenhausen, and the Storm are still playing great football. But what I like about the Storm here is their forward pack. Bromwich, Smith, Welsh, Kafusi, Bromwich, Finucane. That's an international and an Origin forward pack. They're going up against another pretty formidable forward pack. Jared Hargraves, Takiaho, Angus Crichton, who's in career best form. This is what rugby league's made out of. This is what it's about. Storm, for me, are the number one side of the competition at the moment. I know the Panthers have been playing well, but I think the Storm are the team to beat, especially on the back of losing Nathan Cleary, I think, for 6 to 8 weeks. This is going to be a cracking match at McDonald Jones Stadium. The Roosters here, they are a big chance here, but they're going to have to use all their firepower. The Roosters, $3.47. That's a big price. Sam Walker will be tested tonight because what Craig Bellamy will do, he'll run a lot of their edge forwards, a lot of their big players. And when you get players like big Jesse Bromwich running at a guy like Sam Walker's only light. His first season in first grade, he's done a really good job. But I remember Tavita Pangai Jr. a couple of rounds ago, he just terrorised young Sam Walker. Big opportunity for Sam Walker to stand up here tonight. Melbourne Storm, $1.26. Where I see this going, I'll go to Melbourne Storm minus 10.5. Melbourne Storm, I think, average about 20 to 30 points a game. This is going to be a different beast, but I can't go past the Storm. The Storm for mine, on the back of that forward pack, and Cameron Munster, he's been pretty quiet in the Origin, and people are questioning the way he plays his game. People are saying he's not like a naughty little boy who doesn't get his own way, so when he doesn't get his own way, he lashes out. For me, the Storm are going to be hard to beat, and the Roosters, they're going to be up against it tonight. Here we go, on the Central Coast, the Warriors versus the Dragons. The Dragons, last start winners, playing some really good football. The Warriors have been in all their games, and once again, they've recruited a pretty fair player. Dell with 10 years, isn't he? That's right, Dell. He's been to, I think, 3 clubs in like 4 years. He's had more clubs than Greg Norman, this bloke. Good player. Where I see this going, Chad Townsend, obviously, he's at the Warriors at the moment too, up against the Dragons. The Dragons have got such a good side when they're on, but it's up to their forward pack. Tariq Sims is the key. DeBellin goes to the back row, he'll start. Where I see the Dragons here trying to export the Warriors is through the middle. The Warriors are a tough forward pack, but on the edges, they don't work well together. That's where they leak a few points. And also, the Dragons at the back, Matt Duffy. He can score a try, but he also can set up a try. What I want to see from Matt Duffy is more desperation in defence. He's on the lookout for a new club. A couple of years ago, the Warriors, they were interested in buying Matt Duffy. He wasn't interested. So, when you're off contract, you've got to look for takers. The Warriors certainly don't need him now. Young Walsh is out, but like what a great side here. Where I see the Dragons trying to beat the Warriors is in their backs. Their backs are too quick, too skillful. The forwards will hold their own. This will be a really good forward battle. Adam Fanua-Blake, really tough forward, very skillful, and not many people know this. Adam Fanua-Blake actually started his career through the 20s of the Dragons. I was lucky enough to coach a young bloke. He was always aggressive, always confident, always a bit of a hothead. But now he's a lot more balanced. So he's going to try and take it to the Dragons forwards. And I can't wait to watch this game. Jack Bird in the centres too. Jack Bird's a very good player. It's going to be a good battle there, him and Montoya. I look at the prices here. The Warriors are $1.66. The Dragons, $2.08. Where I see the Dragons, take the Dragons just to win this. Dragons straight out. I'm so confident. It's a business end of the season. The Dragons, they beat the Raiders last game, and I reckon they can get the Warriors here. Well, what a game we have for you here. The Panthers and the Eels. This is what I call a local derby, the Battle of the West. Well, the Panthers, they've had a couple of losses lately, and the Eels, we know what they can do when they're on. There's a few question marks on the Eels, whether they're a genuine top 4 side or whether they're a premiership contender. I reckon they really need to beat the Panthers here for people to sort of take notice of them. We know what the Parramatta Eels can do, but look at the Panthers now. There's no Nathan Cleary. He's obviously injured for the next couple of months, but what a replacement. The country boy, Matt Burton. This is why you don't trade players off. Because if you trade players off, you're testing your depth. Isn't it funny? I was only a couple of months ago, people were saying, oh, release Matt Burton to the Bulldogs. Why would you do that? If you've got a handy player in waiting, and now they're a big chance the Panthers of winning another premiership on the back of Matt Burton and Cleary coming back. Because if Cleary doesn't come back, you've got a class player, Matt Burton. I've spoken to a few people in and around Origin. They think that he could be a bolter for the Origin team if he plays really well and they can upset the Eels. So this is going to be a battle between Matt Burton, I think, and young Mitch Moses. I think Mitch Moses will get the Origin job, the number 7, but I think Burton is a smoky. I look at their forward pack. What a really good forward pack here. Fisher Harris, Kickow. Isaiah Yeo has been unbelievable through the Origin series. Kurt Capewell, he'll want to thank his lucky stars he's back in the back row because Tommy Trbojevic has just given him a bath in his first 2 Origins. It's not his fault. But I look at that Panthers back line. It's a speedy back line. To'o, Crichton, and at the back there, Charlie Staines. He's a renowned finisher. Luai's confidence gone from strength to strength. But now it's up to the Eels to put up their hand and to make a statement. We know they've got a good forward pack. We know they've got Paulo, Papali'i, Madison, all these players, Regal Campbell-Gillard. But it's up to their backs now. Makasivo, he's a very good finisher. Where I see this game going, I look at the Parramatta Eels $2.45. I look at the Panthers $1.48, and I reckon taking the Parramatta Eels to win this with the start, I reckon they're a big chance here. So I think the Parramatta Eels, I'd take the 6.5 start at $1.74. That's a really good price. The Parramatta Eels, they'll go close here because the Panthers, they're up against it at the moment. They lost a bit of confidence, and Nathan Cleary, he's the heart and soul of this team. So no Nathan Cleary, still going to get the job done, but I think Parramatta Eels for 6.5 start, I think it's a great bet. And this is what I call the Battle of the West. There's only one winner here, and for me, I think it'll be the Panthers, but the Eels with that start. It's too much start in a local derby. Well, what a game we have for you here. Bankwest Stadium. I love calling games from Bankwest Stadium, even through this COVID period. The Bulldogs versus Seagulls. The Bulldogs are much improved. I've got no doubt the Manly Seagulls here will want to be better on the back of Tom Trbojevic. Queensland fans. He's just given the Queensland fans nightmares. Every time he touches the ball, he's making tackles. He's setting up tries. He's saving tries. He's taking bombs. So the Bulldogs, they got their hands full here because when you've got the best player in the game playing centre and Origin and then you put him back to fullback, you're in for a long day. I'm calling this game for Triple M at 3 o'clock and I can't wait. Myself, Sterlo and that man Maroon. I look at this Bulldog side and they've much improved this Bulldog side. But this Eagles side, this Eagles team is a very different team. Marshall King adds a bit of spark in and around that ruck. I love what Josh Jackson always does. But if you have a look at that back line there's a lot of young players in that back line. Jake Averillo is a much improved player because he plays what he sees. Sometimes they talk about playing with structure and playing eyes-up football. Averillo plays eyes-up football. He carved the Dragons up a couple of weeks ago just through playing eyes-up football. Cole Flanagan's a bit of pressure on the young man here. A lot of people worry about his headspace, but I think Flanagan will do a good job here. But look, I can't see the Eagles getting beaten here. The Eagles, they're giving 24.5 start. For me, I'm happy to give 24.5 start because I just think Manly at their best when they're all firing. They've got a really good team here. DCE is trying really hard. Foreign's back in at 5'8" there, and that forward pack is starting to do a good job. It's the young players like Kepi who's doing a good job, Paseka. So, and I have a look at that bench, and there's another Travojevic. There's Ben Travojevic. So, no Jake Travojevic this game, but Tommy at the back, Dylan Walker 14 off the bench, Ben Travojevic, and Sipley's been much improved this year. I look at that Bulldogs side, and they're going to have a long day, I think. So, I would say Manly Seagulls minus 24.5 for $1.76. The Dogs will be better, but I just think that Manly Seagulls, they're a classy side, and they're going to try and push for that top 4. I don't know if they'll get there, but come the finals time, I know they're a side that you'll want to feel. Okay. Well, what a game we have for you in the nation's capital, GIO Stadium. The Raiders versus the Titans. The Titans. They could be in for a long night here, mate. They've got a gun side, but when you go to the nation's capital, this time of the year, you know you're in for a long night. The Raiders will be smarting up for that last, I think, 2 or 4 point loss against the Dragons in the last game. They got a good side here, the Raiders, but they've got to start to make a run for it now too. Bailey Simonson is a fullback. They're on the hunt for another fullback. They don't need another fullback. They got to back Charles Nickel-Cockstadt. He's the player that they want. He's the player that they need back there. He gives them confidence. I look at their forward pack. Their forward pack are doing a really good job this year. But at the moment, their backs, I think their backs are letting them down. They're leaking too many points through the backs on the edges. They haven't played as well as they have in the past. So their window could be closed here. I tipped the Raiders to be there at the business end of the season. But there's been a bit of, unhappiness in the camp. People are saying it's time for Ricky Stewart to move on. But at the end of the day, it falls on the players. GIO Stadium, 5:30. It's not the worst conditions for the Titans, but I'm telling you what, it'll still be quite cold there. I look at that Titans side. Brimson. Queensland need Brimson back in there. So they've got Brimson. Brian Kelly will do a good job. But in their halves, Fogarty will get them around. But their forward pack, this is where it's at. Big Tino, Fafita, Proctor, Peachy. That's a pretty good forward pack there. Those sort of players. And Forder Waker, the Origin front rower, he comes off the bench. They're going to need to take it to the Raiders, because if I look at this Raiders side here, this is not a bad bench. Tapani, Soliola, Goulet, Tom Starling. So the bench is going to play a big part in this game. But I think the Titans are going to try and move the Raiders around, because they are a big side. So with their power game, they're going to try and move them around. They play very lateral, but they've got to play direct down there in Canberra at GIO Stadium. I look at the price, Raiders $1.42. That's not a bad price for the Raiders. Titans at $2.65. I know the Raiders are so hard to beat in this sort of weather. If the real Raiders team stands up, the Titans are in for a long night. The Titans haven't been that good on the road this year. I'll go the Raiders minus 7.5 at $1.93. That's a good price. So if the real Raiders stand up, you'll cash in there. One of my favourite places to go is Newcastle. Mate, beautiful golf courses up there at the Hunter Valley. Newcastle golf course is great. Anyway, enough about golf. It's not a golf show. Newcastle versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they've had a tough week this week. I think with Todd Payton, their coach. I think he went to the markets and now he's in quarantine for 2 weeks. Unlucky. Probably didn't need to go to the markets, Toddy. And look at the Knights. They welcome back. That's right. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. Kalen Ponga. That's right. The great man is back this week. So Ponga, he leads the charge back there. Clifford will be better for the last run he had there. It was a quick turnaround for him to come from the Cowboys to the Knights. Mitchell Pearce there. He'll be putting up his hand for an Origin opportunity, but I just think Mitchell needs to concentrate on club football. And look at that forward pack. The Saifidi brothers. It's hard enough tackling one Saifidi. When you got two at bookends, they're hard to beat. So Saifidi boys, they'll lead the charge there, and a good back row there too with Barnett and Fitzgibbon. And mate, you know you've got a good side when you've got a guy like David Clemmer coming off the bench. Really good impact there. Look at this Cowboys side. It's not a bad Cowboys side. Big Talmalolo, big powerhouse. They're going to need him to play really well here if they're going to beat the Knights. They're a chance of beating the Knights here. Valentine Holmes will back up. Cole Felt, Hamaso. This young kid, this kid's got the world at his feet here. You've got to give him clean ball. You give him clean ball, mate, anything can happen there. And young Tom Dearden now, he's gone from the Broncos, obviously up to the Cowboys there. There's players that are switch. It's the way the NRL is. It's crazy. I don't see it in too many sports, but it is what it is. Where I see this going, the Cowboys, $2.45. That's a good price. Newcastle Knights, $1.48. On the back of Ponga, there's only one winner here. Newcastle Knights, -7 for $2. That's a good price. And I reckon that's the best bet of the week there. I can't see Newcastle losing this game. It was a really good win against the Warriors last start. I think they won in the last 3 minutes there. There was a try scored by Tuala. I was actually commentating for Triple M a couple of weeks ago. That would give them confidence. I want you to keep an eye on this young kid here, Dominic Young. He came from England. I think he's got West Indian background, English heritage. There's a guy called Anthony Seabold who was one of my mates. He said this kid has got some super talent. So once he gets the rhythm and the feeling of the NRL, he's going to be hard to beat. So for me, the Knights, get on the Knights here. The Knights, I think they'll put the Cowboys to the sword. Well, it hasn't been a great year for any of my teams. The Dragons, at least they're in the top 8. The Broncos, well, the less said the better. So the Broncos up against the Sharks. The Sharks, they don't mind going to Suncorp Stadium. I look at this Broncos side, we know they've got plenty of talent, but they're just not backing it. They're not backing themselves. They got put to the cleaners. They got taken to the cleaners by the Bunnies. At the moment, there's no resilience. There's no toughness through this Broncos culture. So good news for the Broncos. They signed Kurt Capewell for 3 years. That's a great signing for the Broncos for the future. So some of these young Broncos are going to have to stand up. The Broncos don't know what they're doing at the moment. 1 minute, they're saying Tavita Pangai Jr. can go and negotiate with another club, and they say they want to keep him. And now, I look at some of these young players coming through, they've got to stand up. Flegler, he's such a talented player. You've got to be consistent. The good thing for the Broncos is they welcome back a class player, Tony Staggs. Staggs, he's had a horrible 12 months with injury. So Staggs is back in the centres. He wants to fight that position next year. But for the Broncos, they need to stand up here against the Sharks. The Sharks have got some pretty fair players, and they're starting to play some good football. There's a young player on this team that I really feel sorry for, Ronaldo Mulatalo. I watched this kid come through the junior system. I watched him come through as an 18-year-old. I always said to the boys, I said, there's a kid called Ronaldo Mulatalo who I think will play Origin football. Everything about this kid is great. He's aggressive, he's skillful, he likes to celebrate. A lot of showmen like to do that. I won't mention names, dear me. But then they also got a guy called Sean Johnson. Sean Johnson, you look at those players, and Sean Johnson, we know he's a quality player. So if I have a look at that forward pack, Brayley, Woods, Nakora, Talakai, Toby Rudolph, that's a good forward pack. I just think they'll get the job done against the Broncos. Because I have a look at that price. I so want to back the Broncos at Suncorp Stadium, but I can't. The Broncos, $3.05, up against the Sharks, $1.03. I'm taking the Sharks minus 8.5 for $1.80. I just can't back the Broncos until they show me. They've got to change the culture there. They've got to change the culture. I know Kevin Walters is trying. It's going to take a good 18 to 24 months to change the culture there because it hasn't been good for a while. So I know it's tough, and I don't like backing against my old teams, but I think the Sharks, they've got too much talent there. Will Chambers in the centres, with a young Ramian who's a good player. It's going to be a tough day for the Broncos, but hopefully they prove me wrong. But you've got to go the Sharks here. Oh, what a game we have for you. Back at Leichhardt, West Tigers versus the Bunnies. West Tigers, they're hot and cold, we know that. Dane Laurie, I think for me, has been Rookie of the Year this year. I know people talking about Sam Walker, but Dane Laurie. In a team like the Tigers, he's consistently played well week in, week out. The only probably shortcoming with him, I think, when he laid down one time, people said, I shouldn't have put it on. But, if you allow players in the game to do that, players will do that. I think Dane learned a good lesson from that. He's playing some great football. And I have a look at this side here. Ken Mamalo, gone from the Warriors to the Tigers. Ken Mamalo, a good pickup for the West Tigers. Very good player, very strong, big winger. He complements David Nofaluma. Nofa, I love the way that he plays. Very skillful. He's a strike weapon. It's time that the Tigers stood up here. If you're going to stand up, this is the team want to stand up against the Bunnies. The Bunnies have been beaten by 50 points twice this year. I don't think any side has won the premiership after being beaten once by 50 points, but they were beaten twice. But I look at that side, and it's a good side. Cody Walker, Adam Reynolds. Adam Reynolds comes into contention for the halfback spot for Origin. Do you go with Adam Reynolds or do you go with Mitch Moses? I'm not sure. Mitch Moses for me would be my favourite. Adam Reynolds wouldn't let New South Wales down. But the guy at the back, Latrell Mitchell. Sometimes you need time out of the game or away from the side to be at your best. Latrell Mitchell is back to his best. He appreciates the sky blue jersey. Not that I don't. I'm more a Maroons man. But he gave Dane Gagai an absolute bath. So I think Dane Gagai will be happy that he's playing with Latrell now and not against him. Look at that forward pack. You know, young Colin Matangi, he's a bloke that's going to play for New South Wales in the next couple of years. Cam Murray has been outstanding. We talk about Trbojevic. We talk about Tedesco. We talk about Mitchell. But for me, Cam Murray has consistently played well week in, week out, and he's hit the best players. He's topped David Fafita time and time again. Big Tino. I like the way he plays. My man there, Benji Marshall from Triple M, he comes off the bench there. So Benji will do a good job. Don't worry, Benji. I got you Sunday. I'm doing your job at Triple M. So I'll be commentating. But I look at that team and I just think there's no way the West Tigers can go with the Bunnies. The real Bunnies will stand up now. Wayne Bennett, as a coach, you get excited around this time of the year because this is when you start to switch on. Origin's just about over and you make your run into the finals. West Tigers, $5.55. That's a big price. Tigers, sure, they're a chance. Rabbitohs, $1.11. That's pretty short. South Sydney, what I would do there, I'd take the -20 for $1.77. That's right. I'd give 20 point start because this attacking weapon with Damien Cook, he's starting to come out now, play up tempo. They're going to find it hard to beat. It just depends on which Tigers side comes out, but I can't go past this Bunnies side. This Bunnies side, it's ready. It's ready to rock and roll, and it's going to start its run. Wayne Bennett's last year at the Bunnies, him and Demetrio, it'll be changing of the guard at the end of the year, so Wayne Bennett will love the position he's in. And when you've got finishers like Alex Johnston and Campbell Graham, there's only one winner there, and that's the Bunnies for me. That's Big Dell's tips for round 16. Same time, same place next week. Be there or be square.